Well, happy Thursday, everyone. We are live with another episode of Cloud Foundry Weekly. Nikki should be joining shortly. He's having some technical difficulties, but we wanted to start the stream and get it going so we didn't get too late behind schedule here. But with me, with us today, we have Ram and Chris from the Cloud Foundry Foundation, and we're going to be kind of getting an update from the CFF and kind of discussing the Cloud Foundry Day EU, which was in Karlsruhe, Germany, a couple of weeks ago, and just kind of get the vibe from there and go from there. But yeah, I guess we can go ahead and get started. Chris, Ram, thanks for joining the show. You're a return guest to the show, so thanks again for joining. And yeah, I guess we can kind of go on there. Chris, how do you? What was your favorite thing from the show, or what do you want to talk about first from the show? I guess, or from Cloud Foundry Day.
Yeah, you're right. Thank you, Nick. Good to be here again. Great to hang out with you in Germany a couple weeks ago. Karlsruhe was a cool little city. I'd never been there before, so that was a treat to explore new parts of Europe. It was a great day. So this was, I guess, for context, we had a Cloud Foundry Day a year ago in Heidelberg, Germany, and that was the first European event we'd had since the pandemic. And that was a really good day. We had like 100 people sold out in person though, and it was a really positive event. Heidelberg, also a charming city, people probably know. But this year it was so we kind of ran the same playbook again, but in a different town, and it was great. We also sold out in person with like 160 people, so there's a big uptick in attendance. And yeah, it was really nice to get the community together, as it always is. So that was a lot of fun. I was glad you and Nikki could come and broadcast from there. That was great.
Yes.
It was good to hang out with you there as well.
So yeah, I do like this happened in Heidelberg and happened again this year. But I think one of the first talks, I think someone from SAP asked the question, "Do we have any new folks here, new people who've never attended like a Cloud Foundry event?" And in both events, there's a significant amount of people that had raised their hands. So that's good to see that we're continuing to I guess get some more traction into new folks joining the community and kind of getting a chance to partake in the community and things of that nature. So it's always nice to see.
Yeah, I mean the event was a success. It's easier to do things the second time around, of course, right? Anytime you have a new event, it's a little challenging. But this was the second time around, and everyone had a good experience the first time. So I'm not surprised more came. But also, I mean, the Cloud Foundry community has had a good year. We've got some new member companies. Bloomberg joined about a year ago, and then Stackit and 520 joined this year. Stackit's a German IT company, and they came in with a good number of people to the event. That was great. So yeah, I mean, the sort of, I guess the overarching theme in the earlier talks was sort of a Cloud Foundry renaissance, and I think, things aren't exploding, but we're in a really comfortable place right now. We're getting new members. The community seems to be growing again, and this event sort of supported that. And there's lots of talks that we can dig into a little bit more in this show, but in general, yeah, it was sort of a really positive experience and a great day.
Oh, hello, Nikki. Can you hear us?
I can.
Yeah.
Can y'all? Man, talk about a total system meltdown! Like 2 seconds before we go live, that sucked.
Yeah, but you're here with us now. So we got started. We're kind of setting the stage. Just kind of recapping. Cloud Foundry Day in Germany. Shout out to Wayne. Hey, thanks for joining the stream. Good to see you in person as well. Yeah, a couple weeks ago. So yeah, so we're just
at the keyboard with you, Wayne.
Yeah. That was probably one of the best intros ever to a talk, by the way.
That was
I don't think anyone can really top that. So.
Sure.
So yeah, Wayne had his daughter kind of intro one of their sessions. So if you haven't seen it, you can. I'm sure it's in the recording. I haven't seen all the recordings yet, but yeah.
I think that was the youngest member of Cloud Foundry that I've seen.
Yeah. I think
was.
referring to the concept of the children of the Cloud Foundry or Cloud Foundry children. I don't know what the proper term for that is, but
that'll be the first puppy plug. That was the I just dropped the link there. That's Advancing the Future of Cloud Foundry by Dr. Gab and Wayne from 520 and featuring their rather charming daughter.
Let's see if we can put that in the comments here.
Oh, can you still hear me, Chris?
I can hear you great, Nikki. Oh, you just froze.
Everybody just froze on me. Okay, everything just froze on me again.
Okay, you're back.
Yeah, so we're gonna do our best with Nikki.
Gosh, dedicated machines for this podcast. I think it's about time we do that.
Yes, yeah. But yeah, so shout out to the future of Cloud Foundry talk.
The joy of doing this live.
So I guess how we kicked off is one of the Cloud Foundry Renaissance was also a good talk from Julian as well. Kind of set the stage of some new projects they're working on, and kind of how we're kind of seeing a rebirth within the community as well. Nikki, are you still with us here?
I think so.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. We'll see how well this lasts, but yeah, the joys of being live and who knows what's going on. By the way, hi Rom, haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah.
Hi, Nikki. I'm sorry, unfortunately, I couldn't join the event in person. I was catching the live stream and making a lot of keyboard noise throughout the day. Catching up with comments and doing like the social media circus and things like that. Plenty of FOMO, but I'm happy the event went on well. The LF events team is great. They can handle any kind of load you throw at them, and just happy to see all of the participation. And thank you, Nick, for a lot of the social media shout outs and the threads and compiling all of the information from the event space and sharing all of that with us.
Oh yeah. Thanks for having us. And I'd be curious, what was like one of your kind of highlights from the show that you got to see? If there's any kind of session that you wanted to call out or anything like that.
So the whole efforts with cloud native build packs, catching some mainstream attention, trying to backport that into Cloud Foundry for VMs, in addition to using it on the Karifi and the newer Cloud Foundry on Kubernetes stuff, is what really is the highlight for me. I particularly enjoyed how there's a team of engineers trying to figure out this is the best path forward in terms of how to containerize things, and they're trying to backport that into CF for VMs and the whole Bosch ecosystem. So I'm really excited about how that work is going to progress, and I can't wait to see more adoption of build packs. And it's a wonderful community. It's a great technology. It's got a wonderful history. It's a great community of people who are really working hard, because you're against like Docker, which is huge and entrenched, and it's got like deep roots into every developer's workflow, and it's not an easy task to walk into a room and say what, we can replace some of our Docker workflows with this. So yeah, the community has an uphill battle, but I think they're making good inroads, and I'm really happy to see the Cloud Foundry community take some lead on the build pack stuff and push that forward.
Yeah, it's definitely good to see that we can, get maybe some of the newer, I guess we call them the V3 build backs into, Cloud Foundry for VMs. And then I know like there's been a lot of drive with Paketo and how's that playing out within the CFF? And are there any kind of updates that you want to share there, just generally, or what's the trends that you're seeing around Paketo?
We're getting a lot of feedback, particularly at events. For example, the past couple of KubeCons has been really eye-opening in the sense that we went out there and said with the Cloud Foundry open source community, things like that. We had a tiny Paketo logo somewhere on there because it's one of the projects we represent. But we had like so many people walk up to us and say, it's interesting that there's some Cloud Foundry stuff happening, but we're Paketo users and we'd like to know more. And then this was like a trend in Detroit where we first did this, and then we decided, hey, maybe we should make the Paketo logo bigger. And then 6 months later in Amsterdam, we get a lot more traction at the booth, largely for Paketo. And then it's to be very honest, it's never enjoyed the sort of marketing dollars or the marketing space that Cloud Foundry has all of these years. And it was great to see all of these grassroots adoption, and then people come back to us and say, we're having a problem with one or two of these things, and we really love Paketo, and we use build packs, and we use Paketo build packs, and we've customized build packs in so many odd ways that even people in the community like myself have never imagined build packs to be used for some of these very niche and interesting use cases. And so it's really wonderful to see this growing enthusiasm among developers. And like I said, the grassroots adoption is what amazes me the most. And the second thing is the different things that people are making use of build packs for. The wildest one was somebody at one of these large European insurance providers said, hey, we have a lot of ML and AI workflows where the Jupyter notebooks for our data scientists are set up using build packs. So, great use case. You don't expect data scientists to set up cloud infrastructure. And so having some very simple, switches to get Jupyter notebooks set up and working sounds amazing. And I'm happy that they use build packs to accomplish that.
Yeah, I've definitely seen. It may not be common practice, but the Jupyter notebook within the Cloud Foundry build pack too, as well. So that's we probably should explore that more with all the AI, all the AI stuff going on these days. But yeah, let's do a quick shout out to Keith. Thanks for tuning in. If I can click the buttons right, and then we'll shout out to Wayne as well. He was saying that he saw a very similar thing when he was working the KubeCon booth last year. And then I definitely wanted to bring up another one of Wayne's comments. So the SAP folks had shirts at the event. It's just a Cloud Foundry. It just runs. I need to get me some of those shirts. And it was also in one of their slides too. So probably a very understated but well-stated theme of the event too.
That's perhaps a slogan that we should.
We need stickers. We need all kinds of.
That's the gist of it.
Yeah, we need to reboot some of this.
I'm completely scared to death to talk here because everything's going haywire on me. But I agree, man. That is one of the best slogans I've heard in a long time. That's something I would definitely wear. We need stickers. We need T-shirts. That's something that needs to go everywhere.
Well, maybe I can craft some today and see if I can get them printed before going to VMware Explore Barcelona. But
that'd be great.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. It's gonna be. I don't think I can get them shipped to me in time, but we can see. But yeah, and I guess another shout out if anyone's going. I think it's like in a week or two, maybe 2 weeks. To
4th to the 7th.
Yes. November 4th to the 7th is VMware Explore Barcelona, so I'll be there. Nice. If you want to talk Cloud Foundry, just find me, and we can talk.
That should be fun. And if anybody, we'll put some links down in the notes, but we've got the content that's been released for Barcelona. We'll make sure we get that out there for that shout out. So we'll make sure that's in the links as well. But one of the things, so one of the things I did want to talk about, great talks. We're going to post the link to the playlist that we've got for all the talks that happened at Cloud Foundry. But one of the things I wanted to talk about was just the ability. I mean, we had like almost 160 people there. We had a lot of excitement in the room, but the ability to meet some of the people that are working in Cloud Foundry, to meet some of the people that are there. Chris, you and I got to sit and talk for a while. That's one of the understated parts of these conventions that we don't talk about a lot, is the chance to meet with your peers and, people that have been doing this for, longer than I've known how to spell Cloud Foundry, their takes on some of the stuff going in. Any comments on that, or anything special that happened to you, that you got to meet while you were there?
Well, it's always, in a distributed open source community where, you interact with people regularly, but it's usually via email, or you see them on a Zoom call or something like that. It's always really nice to, meet them in person for the first time, or see them again, build lasting relationships. So these events are really important, I think, when you have a workforce that is so spread out and communities that are spread around the globe. Often we're on different time zones when we're working. So it's really important to have events like these. So Cloud Foundry Foundation will try and keep this going. We are planning a couple Cloud Foundry days next year. Well, I guess I'll plug that right now. We don't have dates or venues finalized at this point, but we are, give you all a sneak peek. We expect to have a Cloud Foundry Day in California in late spring, and then another Cloud Foundry event in Germany again, and approximately 11 months from now or something like that. So we're finalizing those dates and stuff, and sometime soon we can make announcements on that, but that should be great. But yeah, at this event, it felt pretty good going into it because the Heidelberg one was was a success, and it's always easier the second time around. But yeah, there were a bunch of maintainers and contributors that I had never met before that I got to meet in person, and that's always a really good thing. Now, for the next year, every time I get a request on Slack or something like that, I can put a face to that request, and that just makes me feel like my job is more real. It's good.
Yeah, I'll call out. So I'm going to call out one guy. I got to meet Ruben Costers, who gave a talk at Cloud Foundry, on Bosch and Carvel. I knew Ruben, but never talked to him face to face. Again, one of the things that I love about these events, that guy is just stupid smart, right? And the ability to sit and talk with him, it was like, I talked to him for about 30 minutes, and 15 of those minutes I was learning something new, or he was presenting ideas that I'd never thought of. This is something that we wouldn't get without being able to, attend these type of, conferences and get-togethers. It makes me miss the old Cloud Foundry summits, right? For the same reason. But for people that have never attended, this is an opportunity to meet people that really know the inner workings of Cloud Foundry, people that work on it, that have been in there for a decade or more. That's something you just really can't get from even like this podcast or reading documents. I don't know, Nick, did you have anything that really stood out to you as somebody you got to meet, or experiences that you had?
I've met Ruben before, but for those who haven't, he's also unexpectedly tall. And that's something that you don't really get over Zoom. You're like, hello. But yes, so that, yeah, but it's always good to get caught up. We got to meet up with Amelia as well from, the Tanzu side. There's a lot of folks, like from the, field sales Tanzu side as well that, I've talked a lot with, like on Zoom or Google Chat, but then got to, meet in person as they brought their customers there as well. So we had a lot of Cloud Foundry customers that I also met there that I have been working with, one in particular for like the past year or so. So it's good to actually just meet people face to face, and just wouldn't really happen normally. So talking with users and fellow peers within our community, it's always good to have that as well. So yeah, it's this like what we call, I guess, in the marketing business, the hallway track of these conferences. Mm-hmm. It's always like this underrated, but like these events allow you to have these type of communications and interactions, and then you always wind up exploring the place at night, and then like walking for 45 minutes trying to find some random bar, and then it was Nikki and I had quite experience with Maurice and Johan's we made it to where we were eventually going, but a good time that we had with that, I think Maurice is from Stack It, and then or Stack IT. I'm not sure what the pronunciation there is, and then Johan's from 522. So just a good chance to get caught up with the community, and then ran into some folks from SAP at another location too. So
great.
It's hard to plan those out, but the natural occurrences kind of through the evening hours are always fun too as well.
Yes, and I mean, yeah, the hallway track is kind of why you go, right? I mean, you can always watch the talks from the comfort of your couch 2 weeks later, but it's important to actually see the people, and you get to, the organic conversations you have about anything, but also work, also, technology. You get to have these really nice organic conversations, and it's surprisingly how, just effective you can be in making things happen that sometimes are challenging in a, Slack, email, Zoom world that we often inhabit. Yeah. And briefly, so Ruben actually was one of the people I know the longest from Cloud Foundry events. Back in 2017, at some point when I was the technical operations manager for the Cloud Foundry Foundation, somebody sponsored a hackathon. So all of a sudden we had to have a hackathon for the first time. No, we hadn't done this before. So Chip was like, Chris, you're in charge of the hackathon. And I was like, okay. So I had to figure that out, and we had to put that together kind of short notice because someone sponsored it and paid us money. Ruben was one of the first hackathon entrants, along with I think Constantine and Ramon and some folks. And they as I kept having to do these hackathons at every Cloud Foundry Summit, they were always my ringers who would always enter, which was good because sometimes we didn't have that many entrants. So it was really helpful. And now Ruben is a pillar of the community.
Of the community. Yeah. And to your point, you can watch these things from the comfort of your couch, but they're not the same, man. It's like live music, right? Live music is always better when you're there in person. These talks are always better when you're there in person. If you've never had the chance to experience the personality that is Wayne, you don't get that on the video, right? You got to be there in person to experience, the Wayne experience. I'm going to start calling it, right? So that's another reason for us to attend the events, and I'm looking forward to hearing about the ones that we're releasing next year in California. I mean, hopefully we can get more people going, because I want to go back to one of the talks that Julian from Any9s did, right? The renaissance of Cloud Foundry, the renaissance of PaaS coming back through. We are seeing that come through in the community, both on the open source side and on the commercial side. People they're starting to remember how good a platform as a service does, and nobody does that better than Cloud Foundry. It just runs, right?
Yeah, it just runs. Yeah, and then to Wayne's point, several CF companies shared at the event how they're widely successful with CF surpassing all expectations. So it's good to see that as well.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to circle back with lots of people about the event, but it's nice to hear more feedback. And certainly at the event itself, I got lots of positive feedback about both the event and Cloud Foundry itself and the success people were having with it. So it was great.
Well, and let me ask you a question, Chris, because I mean, I think one of the reasons that I love It Just Runs is because it's so true. I think there was this idea out there, Cloud Foundry. It's been around for a decade. It's been running like a bullet train. Everybody that uses it, nobody's ever complained that Cloud Foundry doesn't work. But with Kubernetes coming out, with some of the cloud stuff coming out, we had this. I think that there was a perception. Well, that's old technology, right? We've got to move forward. Well, these events show that Cloud Foundry is moving forward. We got teams like SAP and Comcast and stuff going out there, and they're making innovations in Cloud Foundry. We've got VMware. We're putting innovations into Cloud Foundry. Yeah, it is an old technology, but sometimes the old stuff is still around for a reason. And I'm just curious, from the Cloud Foundry Foundation and from the Linux Foundation, what your thoughts are on why we're seeing the renaissance and what the comparisons are there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so yeah, there was Cloud Foundry was very hyped and had a lot of investment from a lot of different companies. Kubernetes came along and did take some of the wind out of the sails. And Cloud Foundry is the architecture is kind of monolithic, right? It's not exactly a composable, extendable thing, like much of the CNCF landscape is. So maybe that's a disadvantage, but there's of course an advantage to that too, in that you don't have to construct your own platform. And I think many enterprise companies are, have discovered recently that building your own platform is expensive, challenging, stressful, and it's just inefficient to have all these enterprises building bespoke platforms when Cloud Foundry and there's other options and things out there too, but Cloud Foundry is so good for so many use cases. And for other workloads, yeah, Kubernetes makes a lot of sense. But just classic Cloud Foundry on VMs is a great product, and for a lot of companies really struggling with day 2 or day 10 issues with platform engineering and the vast and somewhat confusing cloud native landscape right now, Cloud Foundry is a great option. At the same time, we've also got cloud native build packs from Cloud Foundry. So Paketo build packs is doing very well organically, as we mentioned. In the like CNCF landscape, it's getting a lot of adoption from non-Cloud Foundry users, because that's sort of the secret sauce in Cloud Foundry, right? Build packs are this incredible tool. So for people building their own platforms, Paketo build packs is an incredibly powerful tool. And then we've also got Karifi, which is the more robust platform that consumes Paketo and other CNCF projects. But it's a fully Kubernetes native backed Cloud Foundry experience, and it's not on parity with Cloud Foundry yet, but that's a great option, and we're seeing some nice adoption there, and a lot of development on that. So Cloud Foundry, I think the classic Cloud Foundry people are turning back to, because it's easy and it works and it's production ready and it's proven. And then the newer, more cloud native Cloud Foundry products like Paketo and Karifi are seeing their own adoption outside of that space, which is great.
Well, and I know Nick could back me up on this. I actually gave a demo to a customer, here recently, where they had Cloud Foundry within the company, but nobody was using it, right? And so we came in, well, hey, educate us, what can we do? And we did a demo of this. And we literally had developers going, oh, well, hold on. This has been here all this time, right? All I got to do is just take my code and push it, and I get all of this other stuff with it. I don't have to worry about nothing. Absolutely, right? You do get that. So there's almost, as part of the renaissance out there, I think there's also, like this show, we've got to re-educate people of, hey, this is what's available. This is how things are easy for you. And that's another thing I like about, the CF, days, and, some of the stuff that we're doing is people have forgotten, or you've got the new blood coming in that doesn't know that Cloud Foundry exists and that we can make their life easier. So there's got to be a huge, education out there to reestablish that this PaaS is available.
100%. There's a lot of people out there who give me the feedback that they don't know what Heroku is, for example, and people have just forgotten how magical these one command deployments could be. Like, the first time I remember very vividly seeing a Heroku demo was back in 2012, and then that Heroku git push master feeling was just amazing. And then to learn of an open source tool and an alternative to Heroku that can do this for like private clouds, hybrid clouds, what have you, in the form of Cloud Foundry was, even better, because we were, looking for tools that could replicate that kind of developer experience. And a lot of people come up to us, during events, both our own and where we participate, and say nothing even comes close to the developer experience that Cloud Foundry provides. And a lot of times at KubeCon, people come up to us and say, we've used Cloud Foundry, we love it. We're forced to take a look at Kubernetes, and we really wish there was something like Cloud Foundry on Kubernetes. And so that simplifies the conversation so much, and say, what, take a look at Karifi, and that's exactly what you could use this for. And so it's really challenging to realize that a whole generation is sort of forgetting what this technology is, and is just distracted by a lot of flash in the pan solutions right now.
Hmm.
But when you speak to them and you say that a lot of these problems have been experienced before, they're not new,
Right.
and they've been solved very elegantly in these different tools that you can adopt. It's uh, it's really wonderful to hear that kind of very affirmative feedback saying, we were not aware of this, but we're definitely open to trying this out.
And I think you bring up a really good point, there, Ram, in the fact that this has almost become like a nerd war, right? Well, we've got Kubernetes on one side. It's new, it's great, it's everything that we need to do. That's old technology. You got the Cloud Foundry guys saying, "Hey, Kubernetes, love your new feature. We've been doing it for 5, 6, 7 years," right? So there's this dichotomy of personalities here that can't accept. And I do believe that there's a better together story, right? This is where Karifi
Yeah.
is a really good product to be coming out, because there is a better together story out there. There's a lot of products out there in the landscape that are not natively supported by Cloud Foundry. By being able to use Kubernetes and tie in those two together, it opens up the possibilities for what devs can do. They can experience some of the new cloud native landscape projects. They can utilize those, but still maintain that simple one command push of their applications out to production. And that's something that I think we need to be explored too. Maybe everybody just kind of settle down a little bit, you know, and
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be an us versus them. It could be, hey, let's all
Yeah.
hold hands and let's make life better for everyone.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Wayne, because he's just like on fire in the chat.
Yep.
But I got one of his comments. Like, it kind of brings back to the haiku of, like, you want to develop. Here's my code, run on the cloud for me. I don't care how, but it's all about having developers focusing on business logic rather than how to like orchestrate infrastructure and things of that nature. And then to the kind of chat that we're having, a lot of, I think Rain's mentioning, several companies experimented with various Kubernetes distributions, but now they essentially realize the value of Cloud Foundry, and then having that better together, where there's still a lot of value running apps on traditional Cloud Foundry, but then Kubernetes can be very useful for COTS applications, Helm charts, or specialized workloads. So it's great to hear that kind of balancing of both platforms, or both runtimes, as we say.
I think Wayne really wanted that comment to be shown, because he put it in there like 3 times, right? He wanted to make sure everybody saw that comment.
Yeah.
And he's 100% right. I can't argue with him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, Ram, you're out there a lot, right? Every time I turn around, it looks like you're giving another talk somewhere or something. I mean, are you seeing anything new other than what we just talked about seeing kind of that reemergence or that renaissance in Cloud Foundry? Are you seeing anybody doing anything new to kind of bring these stories together?
So I had this interesting conversation with somebody about sidecars. And then, we were chatting about how it can be useful, how there's some, very evident security issues that might come up with the whole sidecast thing. And then they were saying, well, I'm very glad that the Kubernetes community thought of this. And then I said, well, you know what? A few years before the Kubernetes community thought of this, there's another community already using this, productionalized it, and all of that fun stuff. And then that was my big segue into explaining to them, what Cloud Foundry did, and how we were containerizing well before Docker did, and how we were orchestrating containers well before Kubernetes did. And we all
Mm-hmm.
share sort of the same roots in like Borg years ago, and
Mm-hmm.
Borg became Bosch, etc. And so it was a fascinating monologue, and it was like a special hallway track conversation and talk of its own. But it was very interesting, and it's obviously those are the moments for me when it's so many of these problems have been tried and tested and solved very elegantly, if I may add, by the Cloud Foundry community. And now, you have a new community that's rediscovering some of these problems and trying to, push towards solutions. And that's where I really see, the Cloud Foundry promise adding the most value. So there are people out there across all geographies. I do tour a lot in India. I do speak at Europe and some parts of the US at times as well, and it's a common thread across all of these geographies. And you're separated by culture, by the way you approach technology, but you're sort of united in these underlying problems that you see when trying to scale up any platform work or operations workloads. And to have envisioned all of these and years ago, and provided a solution that still stands tall, is a fantastic testament to the kind of core technology that we have and this whole community that we built around it. So it's very heartening for me to you know see um, such people come up and admire some of these older concepts that have stuck around uh, since the time Cloud Foundry was you know solving these and putting new ways to do stuff out there. And to see that adopted in newer technologies that come along is really wonderful.
Yep. There's an old quote, goes something like, "Beware the old men, beware of the old man in a profession where young men die young." Right. I think this applies to Cloud Foundry because exactly what you said. A lot of these problems or issues that we're seeing people trying to tackle today have already been tackled. There's a lot that can be learned from Cloud Foundry. Does it mean that what Cloud Foundry did was perfect? No. It could be improved upon, right? But it does mean that there's lessons to be learned there. Take why reinvent the wheel? Go back, look at the lessons that were learned, and then see, is there a way that we can improve upon this? This is where I think, to Chris's point, things like Karifi are coming in. We're not abandoning the idea of Kubernetes. We're trying to see how to fit that in a way that makes the most sense for the developers and the community out there at large. So I guess this is just a call to action. Hey, let's stop the headbutting that we've got and kind of the philosophical differences between these, and see what we can do for the main customer. The customer is the developers. We want to make their life easier. Software is eating the world. How do we help those guys? And it could be a combination of the both, or it could be something where we take lessons from one and apply them to the other.
Yeah, and interoperability has been a thing with Cloud Foundry. Couple of stories come to mind. There's the summits, I think around 2017 or 2018. I can't put my finger on which one, but the theme there was interoperability, and the keynote was a demonstration between here's how Cloud Foundry can work with OpenShift, which is communities that are largely solving the same problem. In commercial terms, they're vying for the same sort of customer base, things like that. But the community took upon itself to acknowledge the fact that OpenShift exists and it can coexist with Cloud Foundry. And they did like a huge demo, and a lot of person hours were invested in discovering the technical capabilities of a solution like that, and just talking about it at length. And yeah, I've seen videos of these talks. Like I said, I forget which year, but one of the Cloud Foundry EU summits in either 2017 or 18, and the demos are great. I have access to a lot of the documents that go into planning these events, and it really goes into a lot of detail about how interoperability is at the core of the Cloud Foundry community, and we'll continue to embrace any technical innovation that comes along. And the second story is the first time the folks at Cloud Foundry heard about this thing called Kubernetes and it's gaining popularity was they tried deploying a Kubernetes cluster through Cloud Foundry. And it had mixed results, but it's well documented, and they said it's good for this, bad for that, we probably don't need it, blah blah blah. And then to watch that conversation evolve into there's the Irene and the Quarks and the Fizzle projects that sort of brought a few bits of Kubernetes in. And then kubecf was like the first major, okay, let's just replace Diego with Kubernetes, see how it works. It seemed to work quite well. There was a lot of workloads that were productionized with kubecf. And then to see that evolve into CF for Kates after that, and then to see Korifi right now, which is so much more better in all of these different ways, both from the standpoint of here's the technology, we don't sort of alienate it, we embrace it, but also improving the overall Cloud Foundry experience. Because I remember very well when I started out, there was no local Cloud Foundry on my laptop experience. There was Bosch Light and some of these things, but it was not the most polished experience. And then CF Arcades really changed things there, but even that was that required a bunch of VMs to run and things like that. You could put it on a laptop technically, but you could also face like overheating and meltdown and all of that. But with Corifi, it's just amazing. Takes about 5 minutes. There's a reasonably hacky script that can put it on a client cluster. If you spend like a little more time, you can do K3s, you can do Minikube, you can do all of these things. But it's a great developer experience. Engineers can finally use Cloud Foundry on their laptops, kick the tires around, see if they like it, take those ideas back to work, which is how grassroots adoption happens, and which is how you get developer mind space, not by telling them, hey, buy like $50 worth of VMs and then put that on, use that to set up all of the tools that you require. And that makes that reduces the friction for adoption so much. And it's only become possible because the Kubernetes ecosystem has a developer friendly laptop edition, and you have the ability to work around that. And had it not been for Corifi, there would never have been a CF on my laptop that I'm comfortable demonstrating and I'm comfortable showing to people. So I think there's we've gained as a community and as gatekeepers of a technology, we've gained a lot from working with other technologies instead of alienating them.
Well, and, to kind of bring this back full circle to, the events that we, talking about Cloud Foundry. Again, this is an open source community. We've got people out there that work on both commercial side and the OSS side. But these events are where some of these ideas get sparked. It could be a simple question of, hey, man, I wonder if we can do X. Right. Yeah. And when you go to these events, again, going back to like Ruben and all the other wickedly smart people that are out there, sometimes it takes nothing more than, a conversation over a beverage of your choice to spark what might be the new project. And, we've got OSS communities, but, nothing really beats being face to face, seeing personalities, finding those people that you mesh with, and then saying, hey, man, let's pair. Let's try to do something different.
Well, I guess we.
Sorry,
you can go ahead. All right. So on that community, we'll definitely give a shout out to Wayne and folks from Many Nines. They actually talked to the folks from SUSE, and they have rebooted Stratos UI. So that's a project that's been around the community for quite some time. So I guess just kudos for the open source community there as well.
Yeah, that's great news. Just to see archived projects being unarchived and picked up again is a really great trend. And Stratos, it's open source Cloud Foundry should have an open source UI, and that's what Stratos is, and I always liked that project. So I was sad when it was archived and kind of left by the wayside, and now it is coming back. So it's great.
Yeah, it was a product I used when I first got started. I was actually pretty excited. I think I even put out on LinkedIn, look at this, Stratos is back, right? But, with that project, there's a lot of other stuff out there. We had, one of our earlier talks we had with Chris Phillipson, he devised a product called CF Butler that goes out and kind of helps, operators keep track of their foundations, helps notify developers when they're leaving stuff and performing, not doing the best hygiene on the platform. There's a lot of little projects out there, CF management, coming from Caleb. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there, and one, being able to make sure that everybody knows about those things, but seeing that they're still active development. Yeah, I was really excited to see Stratos come back. So kudos, Wayne. Kudos, Any Nines.
It's fantastic for so many reasons. The teams at Comcast apparently make heavy use of Stratos, and they were facing some compliance issues because it's an archived, unmaintained open source project, and it's not anymore. So they're very happy too. And there's some work that we're doing with a few folks in the community where we want Stratos to be available as a backstage plugin, and so that can become one of the simpler ways to consume open source Cloud Foundry through Backstage. And because Stratos can be the UI that really glues things together. And so there's some really fun and interesting trends that we'd like to capitalize on. And uh, if we can do like a Cloud Foundry within Backstage through Stratos demo soon, that'll make me a really happy man.
Well, let me ask a question that's probably going to come across not how I want it to. So when Backstage first hit the scene, everybody loved Backstage, right? It was the next big thing. And then all of a sudden it just kind of disappeared. I didn't hear as much about it. Are you still hearing a lot about Backstage out in the wild?
A lot of people are still curious about we've heard about Backstage. We'd like to make use of it. How can we do that? And there's also this thing called the Backstack, where it's Backstage, Argo, Crossplane, and Kifano as 4 tools together, and they're trying to make some noise out of it. So there's these pockets of people who are interested in Backstage still.
Okay.
So yeah, not like what it was 12 to 9 months ago, but there's still some interest.
Yep. All right. Yeah, because I mean, I remember seeing Backstage and thought, hey, this could be a really cool tool. There was a lot of flash about it there for a little bit, and then all of a sudden, just crickets, right? I didn't hear a whole lot about it, and we know the company that's using it the most, but we didn't hear a lot of it out in the wild. My understanding, there was some difficulties trying to get some of the plugins in, but once you got it working, it worked really well. But
correct.
Yep. All right. Well, hell, maybe that's something. I'll reach out to you. Maybe that's something we might compare on. I would like to see how Backstage can work better.
And I guess some more comments from Wayne here. I guess he heard the backstory of how It Just Runs came about. Where the favorite story was from SAP, where they put their users in a room and asked what they could improve. After a prolonged silence, someone finally said, "It just runs," and then they printed T-shirts off that. So that's actually even better. Like, put that on the bottom of the T-shirt or whatever, for sure. And
that's such a German story. I 100% believe it.
It just runs. Let's go have some beers. Yeah. Yeah. And then again, too, Wayne's mentioning the SAP also released a Terraform provider as well for CF. So shout out to as well. Yeah.
And that's a big story that we should dig into a little bit more sometime soon. There wasn't a talk that specifically dealt with that project, but it is a really cool project from SAP that they just donated to the Cloud Foundry Foundation. Rom, we should like, I don't know, we should dig into that a little bit more and hype that a little bit more, because it's a valuable project, and I think there's a lot of buy-in from other parts of the CF community in that. So,
well, when you decide how you want to do that, you've got a platform here. You can always bring it back. I think that's something we'd love to talk about. Yeah.
And then,
how about you, Chris? Oh, go ahead, Nick.
And then we can discuss Terraform or OpenTofu. Sorry.
Yep. There is that.
Yeah.
Yep, 100%. So, Chris, I know, what have you got coming up? I know KubeCon's coming up for you. You're going to be there.
For folks who'll be in Salt Lake City in a few weeks, Ram and I will be at the Cloud Foundry Foundation booth. We'll be talking about many of these things, Paketo and Karifi and the way Cloud Foundry just runs. And should be a lot of fun. I'm excited to see a KubeCon in a kind of smaller market like that. Like Chicago is fun, but KubeCon's like a drop in that bucket. Whereas I think it'll be having 10,000 people in Salt Lake City will be kind of interesting.
Yep.
You'll feel KubeCon in that town. And I haven't been there in a long time, so that should be a lot of fun. But yeah, we'll be talking about all those things at the booth at KubeCon. Folks are there. Please come say hi. Nick, I don't believe you're going to be making it there. That would be a lot coming right out of Barcelona.
Yeah. I don't think I could go from Barcelona to that would be too much. But
yeah, Nikki, hope you can make it there. That'd be a lot of fun. And so that's next on the horizon for us. We'll of course also be at KubeCon in London. I think that's April 1st through 4th. So looking forward to that, and hoping for some big news at that one. Maybe like Karifi hitting GA, maybe cloud native build packs graduating in the CNCF, things like that. I think are probably not too far down the line. So those could be really exciting stories for 2025. I will say we'll be talking. We haven't tugged into this, but there was just a Karifi release a few days ago, Karifi 0.13, and that's got the beginnings of a services implementation that we've all been kind of awaiting. So we're looking forward to digging into that. We'll definitely be talking about that at KubeCon.
Sounds good. Yep, I don't know yet. I'm going to try. I'll either. I may be there either in an official or an unofficial capacity. I don't know. I may not be able to make it at all, but I'm hoping to get out there to KubeCon. I should go ahead and state, Broadcom's going to have a booth there as well. So, come by and see us. And if I do get to make it out there, I'll definitely be at the booth and probably be attending the Cloud Foundry Foundation booth as well. But we'll wait and see. Nick, you got Barcelona coming up. Ram, anything big coming on your horizon that we need to know?
Nope, it's just these same events. There's a KubeCon India in December, and I'm going to be giving the project maintainers track version for build packs there. Okay. So yeah, that's the only probably additional thing.
Excellent. Well, it looks like we've all got some full schedules coming up, and hopefully we'll see what Nick does with his sticker idea. See if he can get us some stickers. We definitely need to reach out on the t-shirts, but good talk. Always enjoy, really love getting to see you in person, Chris, as we always do when we get to attend these events. Ram, it's always good to see you. Haven't talked to you enough. Looking forward to all the new talks, and make sure you let us know. We'll keep your talks when you've got them posted. We'll put those out on the Cloud Foundry channel as well, so people can link to them. Put that in the community. Maybe we can help get some more pushes on your side as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Really appreciate it, both of you. Always a pleasure. Great to see you in Germany, and pleasure to be on the show.
Yeah. Right. And I want to give a shout out. I'm trying to link our show. So I guess we haven't really talked about it. We talked about it last episode, but we did 2 episodes ago. We were live from the show. We kind of closed it out. So thank you, Chris and Ram, for letting us do that again. I want to thank Amelia for joining the panel from the contributor and TOC side of thing, and thank Daniel from the Cloud Foundry user community. He gave a great overview of how his company Dativ has used Cloud Foundry and wildly successful with it. So if you haven't checked that out, check that out, and then check out all the other shows or episode sessions from the day as well. So there's definitely a lot of content to get caught up on if you couldn't make it there or didn't get to see everything all at once. So.
Yep. And we'll get all of these links, put in the show notes by the end of the week. So when you come look at this episode, make sure you look at the show notes. We'll have all that out there. And of course, the obligatory, we want to thank our audience. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button so that you know when new content's coming out. I think we're working on the next episode of, the Spring AI 0 to Hero with Adib. Hopefully that'll be coming out in the next week or two. Still got to talk to Adib, but hit the like and subscribe button so you get notified of what we're doing and when we're getting out there. And we're working on trying to get a calendar up so that people will know what shows are going to happen before we just start poking them on LinkedIn. But it's more difficult than y'all think it is to come up with episodes and make sure that we get those published in time for people to know about it.
Yeah. And then I guess quick shout out, if you're going to be at Barcelona, let me know. We'll see what we can do from there. I don't know if we'll do live from there or not. I know, Nikki, you're probably out that week, right?
I am. I'm going to be on vacation that week. So
okay, so maybe I can find somebody and we can talk. We'll see. I'll keep everyone posted. So watch the social channels for more details there. But if you're there or want to join the show and tell your story, I'll be there. So let us know. Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. Yeah. Well, we want to thank everybody, and Nick, you You know the way out. We'll let you lead us out here.
All right. We'll do CF bye for everyone. So 3, 2, 1. CF bye.
CF bye.
Bye.